Welcome to the POMcast with Steve Willis, your independent, unbiased, and unbought source for Ole Miss athletics. Good morning, good morning, good morning. October 2nd, 2020, Friday, day before the Ole Miss versus Kentucky game in Lexington, Kentucky, Kroger Field, on the SEC network at 3 o'clock. It should be a good one indeed. So, I hope everybody is doing well today. I'm going to go over some things that you can expect from Kentucky this weekend. I'm going to go over the weather for the Ole Miss Kentucky game, and that's really kind of it. So if that doesn't toot your fancy, sorry. You'll get a refund of your free podcast whenever you want it. But let's take care of a little business first. You can follow us on Twitter at @TheStephenWillis. Several of you have done so. You can follow me at Ole Positively. That'll be the show, podcast, website, or Twitter, or whatever you want to call it. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast, or join our Facebook group at Positively Ole Miss. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Positively Ole Miss and hit the bell for notifications. And of course, follow our Twitch channel, Positively Ole Miss, all one word. That's available for you as well. Around the SEC will be up in the morning again for the re-air. Will be a nice primer heading into the Saturday lineup and slate of football. It should be up around 6 o'clock in the morning. As you listen to this, it'll be probably late morning, early afternoon. If you like to listen via radio, we are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, TuneIn, and we hope to be on soon, iHeartRadio and Pandora. Basically, anything that you're on already, we want to be there. We don't want to ask you to go to a second location, and we'll never extort money from you. We'll never ask for a dime for you to consume our content. That's just the way we are. Now, we'll go into the weather portion of the broadcast right here on Positively Ole Miss. We're looking at Ole Miss versus Kentucky, kickoff at 3 o'clock. 62 degrees, no chance of precipitation, partly cloudy, wind out of the southwest at 4 miles an hour. That's pretty much each hourly breakdown. Except at 6 o'clock, it'll go down to 61. But we're looking at partly cloudy skies, no chance of rain. Slight wind at 4 miles per hour and 62 degrees at kickoff. That is your weather report. Take that as you want to go. Now, if you are looking at home gating, which, several of you are, we'll just do Oxford, Mississippi, and high temperature is supposed to be 60 degrees, sunny weather, wind out of the southeast at 5 miles an hour, low temperature of 61 at 7 o'clock. It's perfect for home gating. Get out there on the grill, do the cookout thing, and the weather looks to be quite nice around Oxford, Mississippi. It'll be a little bit warmer to the south, a little bit colder to the north. That all hasn't changed in years and years and years. Weather kind of is weather. The further north you go, the colder it gets. The further south you go, the warmer it gets. But with Ole Miss having a game at the northernmost school in the Southeastern Conference, look at the low 60s as a high, which is weird for a second game of the season to have temperatures at this level, just like last week. And we really need to consider starting college football around September 26th each year. Get the hurricanes behind us. The weather is nice. There's no just oppressive heat in the southeast, and you just can go. You can do it. And it's just comfortable, and it's the way you go. Now, the flip side of it might be that it is real cold in, a couple of weeks into December when we would play the Southeastern Conference Championship game. But that game's indoors. If we're talking about a December 5th, 1 week later, Egg Bowl, maybe 2 weeks later, okay, I don't see how it's going to make that much difference in the temperature because you're into the autumn, fall temperature back and forth. But that's something I just really believe they need to look at. We need to get away from playing games on Labor Day where it's 101 degrees. There's hurricanes going all over Florida. And it's just oppressively hot for people that want to visit. And the games aren't really that good. Just start a little later. Start on September 26th. Get into that change of season. Hit that quicker. We need to say goodbye to summer. But that's just a thought. Just a thought. All right. When we get into segment 2 and segment 3, we're going to talk a little bit about what you can expect from the Kentucky game. The few minutes that we have left in the first segment, we're going to talk about the Ole Miss offense again, just so you can understand this and get this. The jet sweeps were running a quarter at a half speed in the first game. They are designed to mess with linebackers. That's what the jet sweep does. It creates false steps. It's going to open up the inside zone by faking it there, or the quarterback run by faking it to both of them. Or you can run the tight end behind them. It's going to create space between them and the safety because they're worried about the run. I mean, it's a little bit of little things that can affect the outcome of the game greatly is going to be a part of our offense, which you saw was pretty effective for a week 1 low rep offense in the beginning. And they didn't play many people because you needed those people in practice to get more of the reps. If you're handling it with a tighter group of people, you can function off. It's basically they'll get more reps. So this is to protect them. All right, segment 1 in the books. POMcast, Stephen Willis. Stay tuned.
Only 10% of us get enough daily exercise.
And that number is dropping.
Nearly 30% of us are overweight or obese.
We spend 6 hours a day in front of a screen.
As a result, we now have a shorter life expectancy than our parents.
But give us the right start in sports, and we'll never stop.
Learn how at active4life.ca.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis from Positively Ole Miss. We're almost done with this break. We'll be back with good information quite soon.
The military has been in every generation of my family, and so has VA. It wasn't easy for my dad after Vietnam, but VA helped him and my mom get the home they'd always wanted. My grandpa's been coming to VA since World War II. They even helped him lay to rest one of his battle buddies from Normandy. And me, I followed in their footsteps and served with pride. And now that I'm out of the military, the GI Bill's helping me with school. Every generation of my family has served, and VA has served us all.
POMcast, Stephen Willis right here on the Positively Ole Miss channel. Thanks for tuning in on this Friday. You're getting ready to see the Rebs take on the Kentucky Wildcats tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Match Matt Stinchcomb and Taylor Zarzar in the booth on that call. So you can tune in there, and it should be quite good. And because Alabama will be currently blowing out Texas A&M, there's not going to really be anything that you can turn over to. So, what will Kentucky do? Now, they threw the ball in week 1 38 times and ran it 40. That's 78 plays. But they want to be very methodical in what they're doing. They want to look more like Florida as far as the tempo, the operation of the offense. Now, I expect to see a healthy dose of A.J. Rose and Cavassier Smoke. The run game kind of leads. If you're in a situation where Kentucky is 70% run and 30% pass, you're probably losing the game. Because that's what they want. That's what they want their offense to look like. They do the methodical thing anyway. They want their offense to look like that. Now, as I told you earlier in the week, this is not Terry Wilson with Benny Snell and Lynn Bowden. Those two stars on the outside where Terry Wilson was the number 3 weapon. This is the Kentucky offense where Terry Wilson is supposed to be the number 1 weapon. Now, they have a slot receiver in Alley that is pretty decent and probably is viewed as their threat. But a lot of their pass game is side to side. Running up the middle, toss sweep to the sideline. Everything inside that 15-yard box. They want to fight you in a phone booth. That's how they react. So you're going to see toss sweeps. You're going to see inside zone. You're going to see powers. You're going to see counters. And that is basically the way the offense is going to work. Now, if you're looking for a dynamic passing attack, it really doesn't exist. It's basically some tunnel screens, some screen passes, some quick slants, some dig routes, but everything really tight. Anytime you try to go downfield, it's kind of a problem. Now, they might see Ole Miss's film against Florida and think, well, let's try to do that too. Well, let's hope so. Because honestly, Kyle Trask isn't coming out there. You saw versus LSU last year exactly what he could do in the passing attack. And they were the team that kind of kept it close. Basically in Tiger Stadium at night. So good for Florida there. But back to Kentucky. On offense, that's what you can expect. You can expect a variety of runs, including the quarterback, from A.J. Rose, Terry Wilson, and Cavassier Smoke. You can expect a gadget play or two out of receivers. The receivers will be asked to run wide receiver screens, hitches, slants, all relatively close to the line of scrimmage because, honestly, they have faith in Terry Wilson throwing the ball on that level. Now, they are very good in the trenches on both sides. That includes the offensive line and the defensive line. Very experienced. They might have the best set of tackles in the league. So that means Ole Miss is going to have to play all that run game and all that quick game while also trying to manufacture a pass rush. It might not be a bad idea for the Ole Miss defensive line when they're rushing to make sure to get their hands up. Because they're probably not going to get home very often. The ball gets out of Terry Wilson's hands so quickly, and the offensive line is so good that it's just hard to sack the quarterback. So you affect them different ways. Get your hands up. At least that's what I would do. Now, the linebackers, it should be interesting to see. McHenry, Jack West Jones, Momo Sanogo in the middle. The outsides of Sam Williams or Tavius Robinson and the Buck, and the other side being Jay Stanley and Dalen Gill in the star. Now, what you need to understand is that star position did not have a good day. That was a major hole in the defense Saturday against Florida, and Florida took advantage of it. Both Dalen Gill and Jay Stanley had a shocker. It is my opinion that Otis Reese is probably destined for that position and is probably the best player at that position. It's been Kavarius Toney's 50-yard run against Ole Miss doesn't happen if Otis Reese is playing. That's a direct impact in the game that he would have. I mean, that's just the truth. Now, Kentucky on defense, it looks like they played a little bit of cloud coverage. They played a little bit of man free. They did a good job of mixing it up. They didn't do a lot, but they did enough. And they're very good in the trenches. They held Auburn to like 90 yards rushing. But watching Auburn, it didn't look like Auburn. It didn't look like Gus Malzahn. You did not see that stamp on the offense. It just looks like Chad Morris. I think that's his name. I'm terrible with names since my brain surgery. If I get something wrong, I am terribly sorry. But you just didn't see it the same way, which means you can't really grade Kentucky's run defense on the Auburn curve that you have been able to the last few years, because it just didn't look like the last few years. The operation of the run game didn't look the same. The way that the quarterback hands the ball off didn't look the same. Now, I really like DJ Williams as a back, and under a normal Gus Malzahn scheme, they are rushing for more than 90 yards. The pieces are in place to do that. But as it stands, Auburn gained 320 yards against Kentucky. Is that because Kentucky's defense is good, or is Auburn's offense overrated? I mean, that is the question. And that's everything. You know, can Matt Corral replicate what he did against Florida against Kentucky? Is the defense as worrisome as we saw week 1 against Florida against Kentucky? I personally think the defense is going to be fine. I mean, they just played the best passer in the SEC, and half of fall practice players missed because of COVID. Saturday was going to happen. It just was. People that are looking to break down this game in a normal fashion without talking about those COVID absences are exposing their lack of knowledge about what's going on with football. They're trying to make it all about their cliches. They're trying to sound like they know what they're talking about. But they don't know what they are talking about. In some cases, they are outright lying to you, trying to further their own agenda. And that's worth remembering on every one of these stories. Like I've told you, every journalism story that is written has 3 biases. One of 3 biases: money, power, or influence. Every story is written with one of those 3 things in mind. The slant of the story will be one of those 3 things. They will try to make it sound like the worst thing you can be is a fan. Because a fan can tell you, I don't know, sugarcoat what's going on. But the reality is They need that emotional response to make money. They need that story to be done well because of ambition. They're trying to get out of there. Or they're trying to influence the decision makers by putting out information. So they use anonymous sources and things like that. But those are the three evils of journalism, and you need to keep your eye on it. They will absolutely steer you wrong, and the goal sometimes is to steer you wrong. Propaganda exists for a reason, and you can't believe it. Just because their propaganda does not have really anything to do with the subject matter, it's still propaganda. They don't want you to believe the source. They want you to believe them so they can make more money. Everything's about money. I mean, sometimes those three things and the truth collide. But most of the time they don't. And the only thing that gets hurt is the Ole Miss fan in this case. And the fan base gets smaller and smaller and smaller because people are trying to extort from that pond, that small pond, to make up money or influence the athletic department. All right, segment 2 in the books. We'll come back for one more in just a little bit. Positively Ole Miss, Stephen Willis. Stick around.
You want to answer that, don't you? I bet it's just killing you seeing the soft glow just inches away. Someone wants to tell you something or ask you something. Oh, come on, answer it already! Just so we're clear, that wasn't my fault. Next time, ignore your inner voice. Don't text and drive. A message from Florida's trusted choice independent insurance agents.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis. I just want you to stick around a little longer. We're going to get back to the podcast right after these messages.
Tonight, nearly 40,000 veterans across the country are homeless. These men and women have pledged to serve our nation, and now we must serve them. Landlords across the country have helped make significant progress in reducing veteran homelessness by making housing available, but there is more that we can do to bring our veterans home. Visit www.va.gov/homeless to see how you can get involved. And if you are a veteran and you are experiencing homelessness, please call 877-4AID-VET. Thank you.
Positively Ole Miss, the POMcast. Stephen Willis, thanks for joining us. Hey, just want to give you a little heads up about this. We normally do a segment called We Got Notes. Saturday after the game, I have to go to a funeral visitation and a funeral on Sunday, so We've Got Notes probably will not happen this week just because I won't be here to my stuff, and I'll gladly refund you your completely free price of admission, but bear with us. We're not shirking it. We're not trying not to do it. We just have to go to a friend's funeral right after the game Saturday, and would be unable to do it. So I'm on basically do a We've Got Notes prediction for Saturday since we can't do it, and that is there's positives to be built on the defense. They made steps from week 1. I saw a little bit more pass rush get generated. They did pretty well on the back end. You can see Dean Leonard, the improvement from week 1 to week 2 of him being basically locked in. Offensively, you couldn't expect them to replicate back-to-back all the times what they did last week. They were quite good, but last week they were special. They were more reliant on the short passing game, And the running game with Jerry and Ely and Snoop Connor really got off the mark. And you can see Luke Logan made a field goal. So it was pretty good. I'm predicting a 31-24 win. And that'll be your early We've Got Notes segment. So that's something we can all look forward to. But We've Got Notes will not air this Saturday because of the funeral. Of course, just to let you know, you can follow us on Twitter at @TheStephenWillis or at Ole Positively. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast or join our Facebook group to discuss it all at Positively Ole Miss. You can you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Positively Ole Miss. Hit the bell for notifications. You'll know whenever we put a video up before it happens. And you, of course, can follow our Twitch channel at Positively Ole Miss, all one word. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, and we will be on iHeartRadio and Pandora shortly. Stay tuned for that. So that's the way you can partake in the podcast. We've done the weather, which is, pretty good. The weather is going to be fantastic. 62 degrees in Oxford, 70 degrees in Oxford, 62 degrees in Lexington, probably 72, 73 degrees in Jackson. Probably 75, 76 on the coast. Perfect for home gating. It looks like 0 chance of rain. So we have that going for us, which is lovely. But that'll explain the We Got Notes part. And the last part is kind of what we can expect from the Kentucky offense and what we can expect from the Kentucky defense. What can we expect now that we have a data point from the Ole Miss offense? I think it's going to be somewhere between 55 and 65% run. They're not going to put up the yardage they do in the pass game because, like we've told you over and over again, this is a power run offense. They want to run the ball. They're going to run it about 60% of the time. And then Lane Kiffin is going to have about 10 shot plays drawn up, designed to beat certain coverages through double moves or whatever they're doing to get it open that way. Those two in concert, you saw that we did quite well on the deep ball last week. 5 completions for over 200 yards. If that can be replicated, Kentucky doesn't have a chance. They can't score enough. I mean, that's just the truth. If we can do that, if we put up 600 yards of offense, Kentucky doesn't have a chance because they don't have an offense that can match that. That's just the truth. I know for traditional football fans, that's probably grating or upsetting, but it's just the truth. Ole Miss could with a 600-yard performance, can win this game on one side of the ball. Not 3, 1. So, Ole Miss versus Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky, 3 p.m. on the SEC Network. Taylor Zarzar and Matt Stinchcomb on the call. It is airing opposite of Alabama and Texas A&M, so there's not even going to be that much need to switch the channel often. So that's kind of good. So it has a chance to be a really great game, and I hate that we can't go see it. I know that the excitement is starting to build for Ole Miss football after week 1, week 2. Hopefully they can build on that as well. So enjoy the game. Tune in Monday for the POMcast. Stephen Willis. Take care.